the sign, I guess.
Here? Perfect. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Minister, what particular challenges do you face in Canada when it comes to decarbonising transport?
Well, Canada, its transport is challenging because it's a very large country, the second largest on Earth. We have a very cold northern climate. All of that generally creates more greenhouse gases. So we have a big challenge there. 23% of our greenhouse gases in Canada are in the transportation sector. So our challenge is to reduce them, obviously, and to use different policies. One being encouraging more public transit in our cities. That can go a long way, and we have made unprecedented commitments, the government, to invest in public transit. Second way is to use more electrification with respect to our cars and our trains, because 80% of our electricity is generated by non-fossil fuel sources like hydropower and nuclear power. So those are two examples. So those are policies that we're putting in place. We're obviously, raising our standards on auto emissions, on truck emissions, those kinds of things. There are other steps that we're taking. For example, when ships come alongside, we encourage them to use shore power rather than keeping diesels operating. These are all steps that we think that are going to help us to meet our Paris goals.
And when it comes to aviation, the ICAO meets in Montreal later this year. What do you hope that will achieve?
Well, we hope that the world will come together and adopt the ICAO standards that are being promoted for September, which are very ambitious. One is a new CO2 standard with respect to the design of aircraft so that they are producing much less greenhouse gases, and the technology has been improving. And the second one is what we call a global market-based measure, which is a way of offsetting greenhouse gas production by international aviation by allowing them to use what are called credits and pay for those credits as their greenhouse gases increase. So the net effect is to reduce CO2 consumption in the international aviation. But it requires the will of all the countries there for it to be accepted. And that's what we're hoping but the countries will come together and do this.
When it comes to the theme of this forum, green and inclusive transport, in one of the sessions this afternoon, you pointed out that you have a unique perspective. As a former astronaut, you've been to space 3 times. You've seen the Earth.
I have indeed, and it's had a profound effect on me. When you see that planet, which is our home, and let's be honest, we have nowhere else to go, and you see that very thin atmosphere that envelops it, which allows life to thrive on Earth, but you realize that atmosphere is under assault, not only from greenhouse gases, but from pollutants. You realize that we have to do something about it. And of course, when you look down, you don't see 200 countries, you see one planet. And so I'm very focused on doing something for our future generations, and the realization that it's a collective responsibility. It isn't Canada's, it's not China's, it's not Germany's, it's our collective responsibility. And if we don't get our act together, then the planet will be worse off, and we will not be giving our children what we would like to give them.